Do a poll question, and then we're going to kind of talk about what the poll question tells us a little bit. Only 2 Vols made the preseason All-SEC team. What does that mean? Here are your options. 1, it means the media hates UT. Obviously. Next, it means target the 2025 playoff. This isn't the year. Target next year. Or the last one it's tied at the moment, don't mean nothing. We are playoff bound this year. So it either means media hates you, it means target next year, this is a stepping stone year, or it means absolutely nothing, they're going to the playoffs this year. So use your smartphone, hit the QR code, tell us what you think, vote, and then you can watch the little orange lines move. And then also you can go to sportsource.tv and just go to polls and vote that way if you prefer. Okay, Josh Heupel was on 99.1 The Sports Animal with Josh and Swain this week. And he had this to say about his team. It's a short quote, but we'll put it up here. We've got, without a doubt, the best, the deepest roster that we've had. We're at the best point that we've been, not even close. That sounds pretty good. But as I said, when you looked at the 3 All-SEC offensive teams, the 3 All-SEC defensive teams, and the All-SEC special teams units, only 2 Vols made the list. First-teamer Cooper Mays on offense, first-teamer James Pierce on defense. That is it. So Josh Heupel says it's their best, deepest roster. Everybody else looks at it and says, you got 2 stars that even make first team, second team, third team, special teams. Who's right?
Closer.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Chuck, who's right? You're laughing. I'll make you go
well,
first.
I tell you what, I'm going to put more stock in what Josh Heupel says, because I think what he's looking at is, if you're not just looking at the very top, you're looking at like 1 through 75. Mm-hmm. You're looking at the depth you have for competition, for playing time, for starting positions. And when you look at it, guys, look at what you lost in your secondary with all those guys that are gone. You don't have much experience at linebackers.
Of course, I remember when that was happening, I was reading on social media that UT wanted rid of all those guys.
But I mean, still, when you're looking at all conference players, you really had to do something last season, right? As a rule, Tennessee has got some spots where they got good young talent, but they don't have a lot of guys who made a mark last season. So I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between what Josh Heupel was talking about in terms of his entire roster and their depth chart versus an All-SEC team. Where now you're looking for name recognition versus now I have 8 wide receivers that I would trust, or hey, maybe we're the deepest we've been on the defensive line with 14 guys that we would trust, where that a lot of other SEC teams wouldn't. But is there anyone else besides James Pierce Jr. that has the star power, even though that group is good? I do think there's a difference in what he's talking about.
Okay, I just think to me it's a little surprising that Dylan Sampson didn't make any of those teams. Omar Norman Lott didn't find his way into third string defense.
Thomas is the one that
Yeah,
well, a lot. I would say this. I believe Josh Heupel. I agree with him. Not with the media. Part of that is I think Josh Heupel can finally play who he wants to play as opposed to who he has to play at certain positions. So I think that's a big thing for a coach. The other thing is sometimes, like when you look at the list of players, like we voted in the All-SEC media thing this year. You're choosing between players that just have been big in recruiting or were solid backups for a team. We have no idea how they're going to play when they step into a starting role. You have certain limitations on who you can choose. So, but I also think Tennessee doesn't have elite talent. They don't have elite players, but they have a quality depth of pretty good players right now. And maybe those guys can develop and become elite players. But does Tennessee have how many guys that are going to be first round or day 2 even draft picks? 2 tops?
Ryan, I'll let you go first.
I agree. I think what Josh Heupel is saying, like that, to their point, is I've got the deepest roster I've had. I'm worried about the 2 deep more so than the 1 through 5 on this roster. But
technically, you're 2 deep on the All-SEC team too.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But I do think to Will's point, we're guessing at a lot of this these days more than ever because of the transfer portal, because young players make an impact more than they used to. We don't know if Nico is what we think he is. He'll be a third-team All-SEC player at least. I think there will be some guys in there that we just don't know about yet because they're second-year players who haven't played much.
You've also, think of how many Tennessee players off this team would be on the list if it was still a 10-team league. You've added 2 more teams,
yes.
So it keeps watering it down a little bit. But when you've got Georgia, Texas, and Alabama, who everyone thinks are pretty good shots at the playoff, okay, they're going to get more players on there. I wouldn't worry about this, though. I mean, because
No.
here's the thing. 2 years ago, or was it 2 years ago? Hendon Hooker's second year here. I guess it was 2 seasons ago. Did anyone really picture him being the star he was going to, he should have gone to New York. I didn't see that. So this preseason hype stuff, I mean, you look at it and you say, there's no elite talent there. Turns out Jalen Hyatt, the jump he made between year 2 and year 3, told us, oh, that guy's got the drops. They went to, oh, he's elite, super elite.
Develop.
Bolitnikov award-winning elite. So this wouldn't be something I would lose any sleep.
No, I mean, you may have the best rush in the country, right? You're going to have a guy, maybe one of the top 5 picks in the draft. We don't know that quite yet, but I wouldn't trade him for many players, would you?
No.
And then Cooper Mays, what are your chances of winning or losing if he's in the lineup or
also,
not?
the other centers in the league are not that great. You know what I mean? There's a lot of got turnover there, but there's also Brew McCoy. You can't consider Brew McCoy for one of those teams because he's coming off of that injury.
Right.
Javonte Spraggins.
Why not?
You can't consider him because he's coming off of that injury. So
Well, you don't know.
Well,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Keenan Peely. Well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Keenan Peely
you're
play
right,
for
absolutely
what?
right.
30
a
snaps.
quarter last year?
Yeah, 30
Yeah.
snaps, they said. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's what hurt Tennessee in the total numbers is you had 3 key guys there that would normally have consideration or maybe be there that people wondered about in terms of the injury.
I think these all preseason lists are completely useless. Show me the coaches list at the end of the year.
Right.
That's the one.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
care I don't care about the AP. Show me the coaches list at the end of the year. Or I should say the SID
list, yeah.
at the end of the year. That gives you a better idea of who the other teams had that were talented, because you've got an idea. I mean, so much of this is just hype, preseason hype,
Yes.
and so much of it is, as you said, what the hell does recruiting have to do with it?
But it
You're
is.
sitting there
It's
going,
big
well, he was a
names.
5-star, so he's got to be. Well, yes, he was great at Ottumwa, Iowa, playing in 3-star, level 3 of their high school unit. That doesn't make me vote someone up in the preseason list, but that's how it works.
But that's what happens because of recognizability,
Yeah.
right? People recognize the people that they covered in recruiting. They know this guy had a high upside. Recruiting rankings are a lot more accurate than they used to be. And so because of that, that's kind of who people put into those spots in the preseason.
I don't know. I don't think these recruiting rankings are We'll be talking to Ryan about recruiting rankings later.
Sorry, you default to the top teams, the teams
Yes.
that
Right.
you see.
And
more
his
often.
Georgia had 16, is that correct,
Yeah.
on the 3 teams?
A lot of Texas too, and
Right.
Dallas too.
Yeah, again, 2 teams that are expected to be in the semifinals of the playoffs. All right.
Exactly.
When we come back, much more on the Vols to come. But next, I want to talk to Vince and Will about what it was like in Dallas. Did it still feel like an SEC event down there? How did Oklahoma and Texas come into the league? Or was it just a crappily run media days this year? that wasn't going to be my initial question, but talking to them, that may find its way in. Coming back.